Hi, welcome to Scorched Earth Tarot. This is going to be a reading for Gemini, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of February. They're designed to be much shorter than the general monthlies because they're more of an energetic snapshot. Just to see where you are right now and what's coming towards you for the last couple of weeks of February. But remember, time is fluid, so it doesn't necessarily have to occur directly within that 2-week period. So I'll pull 3 cards for where you are, 3 cards for what's coming towards you, and 3 cards for advice. See if we can't, ease the way for you a little. If there's any information that you want to know, have a look in the description box because chances are it's probably down there already. Yes, so could I have 3 cards for Gemini? This card is the 2 of Wands. Nice, it's fire energy. Ooh, 2 of Cups. 2 and 2. It's water energy. And 1 more card for Gemini, please. And the Hanged Man, which is the card of Pisces for me in the Major Arcana. Right. It's really interesting energy, right? For me, the 2s are always internal. They're talking about what's going on inside, right? 2 of Wands is for me a bit of a crossroads, right? Because it's internal. It's talking about, look how she's got a crystal ball. Right? She's stood up really high somewhere. She's looking in a crystal ball. It's like she's trying to work out the logical end point for every option that she has right now, right? Crossroads. And so if the 3 of Wands is where you start, executing that plan, you start actioning the things that you've been thinking about and expanding and bringing it into the 3D. The 2 is where you're considering your options, and that's where you are at the moment. And you seem to be considering your options with regard to a connection of some description. Now, this doesn't have to be romantic, and actually, more often than not, I see it as not a romantic connection. But take it as it resonates to you, because it could be. This could be. It could be a relationship of any sort. So this could be a business partner. This could be a work colleague. This could be a friend. This could be sibling. It could be anyone, frankly, with whom you share a vision. You're on the same track. You're on the same page, right? You're going off in the same direction. But you're contemplating it. And something about it. You've hit a crossroads and you need to pick a direction now with regard to this. And then we have the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man it's the most passive card in the deck, right? It talks about complete inaction. It talks about suspending yourself in a, potentially slightly uncomfortable position while you change your perspective in order to gain wisdom and try and see the world from a different perspective. And it's interesting that it's come up with these cards because these are all actually relatively internal cards. It's definitely internal, potentially internal. It seems like the energy that you're sat in at the moment, Gemini, is trying to work out which way to go, and you're deliberately not taking any steps at the moment until you have really thought this situation through, until you've really seen it from every single conceivable perspective. And I feel like the fact that you're doing that is a nod to the fact that you understand that there are potentially things that you haven't considered about this, right? So you're deliberately not taking any action. You're in a very contemplative space, but you're on the brink of a change of direction, potentially, or a continuation on the direction that you're on. But it's a crossroads, so I feel like there's a choice to be made. You're not making it yet because you're trying to make sure that you've considered all of your options, and that's very sensible. I like that. So I have 3 cards for what's coming towards Gemini, please, for the last 2 weeks of February. I've got 2 cards. So those 2 came out together, so I'm gonna read them together. So, 2 more cards. There's one. Oh, and there's the other. On the bottom of the deck now, we've got the Priestess, which is another card of Pisces. It could be a Pisces that you're dealing with, but if not, it talks about more internal stuff, right? More passive stuff, more passive energy. And directly under that, we've got the 4 of Swords, which is more passive energy. It's more withdrawal and contemplation right there. But it also talks about intuition. It talks about following your gut with things. Now, what's coming towards you, and how interesting that we should just be literally on the brink of Mercury retrograde, but we're certainly sitting in the shadow period of it right now, is the Chariot and Judgment. These two hopped out together. And for me personally, this is Cancer and this is Scorpio. The Chariot talks about moving forwards, decisively. Right? It's a card of self-determination, knowing the direction that you're going and ploughing forwards. But interestingly, this is what's coming towards you. This is not your energy, right? And it's paired up with Judgment, which for me is the card of things coming back from the past, resurfacing, hence the retrograde being important. It seems like somebody's coming towards you, and it could be a Cancer, with a very clear idea of what they want. And they're coming at you with it. You're in this hanging phase, in this hanged man energy, in this priestess energy, trying to consider all of your options. This is what's charging towards you. And there's definitely an emotional component to this. It feels like somebody coming back, somebody who's made a decision and decided that they know what they want, and they're gonna bam, come at you with it, right? The fact that it's coming up in a retrograde makes my gut say that's not awesome. Things that tend to come up in a retrograde don't tend to stay, right? They're resurfacing to allow you to close out a situation properly, because something about it is not yet final, right? So it resurfaces in order that you either see how far you've come, or that you can go, no, this is where it ends now. Like, this cycle is done, this cycle is finished. I'm not having this anymore. Thank you very much. But they're coming towards you, and I don't feel like they're going to take no for an answer. Because then we've got the 3 of Pentacles and the 9 of Pentacles. Now, the 3 of Pentacles talks about working together with someone to make something, to build something that will last for a very long time. And I feel like this is what is coming towards you. It's an offer from somebody to work together with them to create something. Now, maybe on some level you've anticipated this, and maybe this is part of what you're contemplating at the moment. Well, it doesn't have to be, but I get perhaps a feeling that it is. It's almost like you've been waiting, because the Hangman is a card of waiting. The High Priestess is a card of definitely hanging back and observing. But here they come. And I say there's an emotional component to it, because these horses that are driving the chariot, pulling the chariot, this one particularly seems to be made of water. It's really strong. You don't usually see water on chariot cards, even though it's a card of Cancer and therefore a water card. But there's loads on here. This is someone charging in with an offer that you've potentially contemplated. And they want to work together with you, right? But there's a sense of separation here, which I don't usually get from the 3 of Pentacles. It's because this person's here by themselves. There's this web on the tree here. Maybe you're in contact only really over the internet, something like that. And there's a sense of you starting something physically separated to come together. Like, this is the offer. This is what they're coming in with for you. And then we've got this 9 of Pentacles, which talks about self-sufficiency, right? It talks about being all right by yourself. It's a card of great independence. howling gale that's just picked up from nowhere. It was absolutely silent 5 minutes ago. How bizarre. Right. It's really noisy. I'm going to pull another card for that, because what I feel, just because these two characters look like they're sat in the same place, like there's one card looks to be almost a continuation of the other. Okay. And what my gut says is that this person will claim to see you as an independent spirit, not try and shackle you down in any way, but I've got a bit of a twitch about it. I'm not happy about this. Tell me more about the Three of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, please. Here it comes. Two of Wands. And the Sun. This is what you're being told. There's a legitimate there. Wheel of Fortune's just flipped. So, this is supposed to happen. King of Wands. Yeah, I mean... I don't know where this twitch has come from, because actually these cards seem pretty positive, but I can't ignore the fact that it's there. But the fact that the Wheel of Fortune just showed its face to me makes me think that there's an aspect of this that is coming in that needs to be something that you deal with. I don't know if I expressed that terribly well. Like there's a lesson in here somewhere for you that you have to take on board. Because the cards that we've got are the Three of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the Sun. Right? When the Sun is the most positive card in the deck, it's also the card of Leo. So it could be a Leo that you're dealing with. And the Three of Cups can sometimes talk about third-party situations. I mean, that's the thing that I have to bring up because it's there and I see it. But it can also talk about celebration. Right? It can talk about celebration and planning, right? Because this feels like a coming together, right? This is two separate people right here, and there's one person working very hard on something geographically distant. I have a real sense of that. And then there's, you. I feel this is you here. Self-sufficient, independent, and being acknowledged as such by this person. This person really wants to work on this thing with you. And then you've got, celebration and joy stuff, and in the planning stage of this, possibly with a Leo, right? But if not, then certainly, a positive outcome is what's being sold to you by this situation. I know I cannot help the fact that I'm kind of biasing the language that I'm using because I've got a bit of a twitch about it. And then we've got the Five of Pentacles and the King of Wands, which is another card of Leo right there, right? The Five of Pentacles talks about poverty of any description, so that can be material, it can be money, that sort of thing. But it can be resources of any sort, so it can be emotional resources, right? A lack of those, or a fear of a fear of losing those things, or a fear of abandonment, a fear of being left out in the cold, all that kind of thing. But five's a change. And this one particularly, she seems to be fairly willingly walking away from this structure that she's already built. She's taking herself out in the snow, but she seems to want to go, and she's going towards the King of Wands. Right? She's leaving behind what is a fairly safe stronghold. I assume it's pretty warm as well, and she's headed off towards this King of Wands, which is it's strictly Leo, but it could be Aries or Sagittarius as well. Moving in that direction, and it doesn't have to be a man; it can be a woman. Just saying. I'm going to pull one more card because I've got 3 cards, then 2 cards, and it feels fitting that there should be a 1 card underneath. I like hands. Yeah, one more card for this whole situation. I've got the 4 of Pentacles. But it's come out in reverse. I mean, the 4 of Pentacles talks about, in its upright, it talks about holding on to things too hard. Yeah, it talks actually about the need to release, and there's a fear element to the card, because if you hold on to something really, really tightly, it's because you're afraid that if you let it go, you won't see it again. It will not come back to you in any form. But it's come out in the reverse, which suggests a really healthy releasing of something. And you'll have to fill in the gaps and tell me what that is, because I don't know. But this chap's got all of his treasure and he's hoarding it right there. But it's come out this way. I don't know. These are all really positive cards, but I cannot shake that little feeling that I've got. Let's get you some advice. The 2 of Wands and the Sun could talk about planning foreign travel. That's possible. And certainly with the 5 of Pentacles, walking away from this very strong, building, this castle, whatever, in the snow, and escaping from the snow to go towards the King of Wands. And it's letting go of something in order to do that. I have 3 cards of advice for Gemini, please. Ooh. 9 of Cups. Ace of Swords. Mm-hmm. On the bottom of the deck, we've got the King of Wands again, right? More Leo energy. But the 3 cards of advice that have come out are the 9 of Cups, the Ace of Swords, and the Tower, right? More Tower imagery right there. So the 9 of Cups, it's a card that talks of wish fulfillment. Really, I mean, she looks very happy, just sat there in the middle of all of her cups. They've left behind the 8 of Cups, the things that don't fulfill them emotionally, and they've gone off looking for their wish fulfillment, which is the 9 of Cups. And those, more often than not for me, it talks about being comfortable in yourself, just as we've got this person here who manages their own resources. They're not dependent on anyone else for anything. That's a 9 there. I feel like all the 9s talk about care of the self in some way, It's internal. It's more like, well, not internal, but, the self. So the 9 of Cups is about being happy in yourself, right? It's not needing somebody else to make you happy, because you can generate that all on your own. But as advice, it seems to say to me, be wary of somebody coming in and offering to do that for you, because it should always emanate from you. It talks about self-care, talks about inner work quite often as well. the ability to generate your own cups rather than relying on someone else to bring them for you is very important. And your independence is very important to you. And then we've got the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Swords is about, it's an ace, so it talks about new things, but it's new perspectives and shit we're all about. It's gaining clarity on a situation, and it's gifted to you. So the state that you're in at the moment, where you're contemplating all of these things, that's very helpful to you. It's very useful, and your answers are coming. They are coming. But it's the ability to be able to express yourself with it as well. It's truth. It's knowing your truth, more importantly. But then we've got the Tower. Now, as I always say, my most profound Tower moments have not been, when something external to me has occurred and shaken my foundations. Obviously, stuff like that's happened, and they're kind of, I don't tend to see those quite as profoundly as I do about getting some new insight into a situation, because my most profound Tower moments have been when I've suddenly seen something clearly. And it changes the way that I see everything else. It changes my understanding of the situation. And quite often, that tower falling, although it feels uncomfortable at the time, it's preparing you for something really awesome coming along. It feels like you're going to get some sort of insight about yourself, about your situation, about what really makes you tick, about the things that really make you happy. And it's going to shock you because it's not what you expected. I'll just pull one more card. Give me one more card for the Tower, please. Yeah. And 2 more cards for the Tower. Awful lot of flippers, but none that have actually jumped out. Card for the Tower. We've got strength and we've got the world. It's another Leo card, and Leo features this card as well. This is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. But if they're just energies rather than signs of people, this talks about real great inner strength, and it's the kind of inner strength that comes from adverse situations, of which the Tower is usually, a bringer thereof. It's kind of Scorpio too, so we've got Scorpio twice too. And the world, or the universe as it is here, talks about bringing something to a completion. It talks about ending a cycle. I think that the insight that you're about to receive, in whichever way that it comes, is a realization that those things that you thought would make you happy aren't necessarily so. Maybe they're covering for something else. Maybe there's an element of codependency that you've been working with. That's possible. Or maybe it's just that life has been so very fucking distracting that you haven't had the chance to be still, although you're doing it now, for long enough to have come to this conclusion beforehand. And it's going to help you increase your strength, but you're going to have to draw on strength that you already have in order to complete this cycle, in order to close it out. Now, whether the closing out of the cycle is turning whoever this is galloping in, offering you sunshine and rainbows, whether it's that, or whether it's the acceptance of this that closes out the cycle, it's down to you. I don't know. I can't see. I could probably pull more cards and find out, but I'm keeping these short, so I'm not going to do that. It's just interesting that my gut was twinging so badly over those 2 cards. And then we've got all this major arcana down here, like these. The Tower followed by strength, followed by ending. That's big energy. You definitely, and maybe you knew this, maybe that's why you're in such a contemplative, energetic state at the moment. That's why you're not making any movement. You are bringing the stillness so that you really understand what it is that you're doing before you do it. Oh, interesting. Right, I'm going to leave it there, Gemini. But I will see you in about a week or so for the generals for March. So take care.